let's talk about the month 2 of the writing school. What's going on?
Month two, we talked about the first section of plot and structure, which is always fun. And I always feel like it's a nice way to start. I mean, I know we started with characters, which is important. It's the most important, I would say. But then after that, there's a structure to plot and structure. There's something that's a little bit more, okay, I can put numbers to this. I can put words to this versus the more nebulous kind of get to know your character, which is, well, that one's more like a relationship, which you can't pin down with a bunch of steps necessarily, whereas
Mhm.
plot and structure and the hero's journey, that one's a little bit easier to put into those kind of categories, which to me, when I'm writing a book, is a little bit of a breath of fresh air. Characters are, of course, so much fun. World building, which we're in this month. So we've just finished month two and we're starting the next month now. That's, of course, always a blast, but there's something just kind of familiar about plot and structure, which is really nice. And I feel like my students have been enjoying it. I've certainly been enjoying it. I'm watching them progress. I'm watching them develop. And I just want to give a shout out to all my students too, because, as they are my first students, they are helping me see how I can improve my teaching, how we can improve the course. I'll give you a couple of examples. Number one was we got a new student, and originally our plan had been to do once a month, 1 hour of like a common room group office hours, right? And so I sent out these Google forms so that everybody could fill out what times would not work for them, which would be their best times. And like there were only three students and none of their times lined up. So
Yeah.
I'm sitting there thinking about it and I was like, okay, we've got to come up with a different way to do this because I can't be doing 2 office hours a month because that kind of defeats the purpose of the one group common room thing.
Mhm.
And so actually one of my students, you know who you are, gave the idea that what if it was just shorter individual one-on-one sessions? And I was like, I love that very much because then it allows me to actually get into the nitty-gritty one-on-one talk
Mhm.
to you. And I was like, okay, so let's do some options. We can do 15 minutes a month, which all of the students so far have selected, or you can do 30 minutes every 2 months, or you can do 1 hour every 4 months. So you can select those different options, and I'm able to give my students one-on-one coaching.
That's
I
awesome.
think it was you and I who were discussing how to actually give better feedback on the notes, and how to, instead of just, because at the time I would kind of express these broad overarching topics where my students could kind of, bolster their skill and stuff like that. But then you and I were talking, and it's like maybe it would be more helpful if we got more specific to this exact sample that they've sent in. And since it's not a full developmental edit, I can't necessarily name everything that I would, recommend that they shift around or recommend that they, this could use a little bit more attention. Can't
Mhm.
do that, but I can direct it to either the exact questions that they have for the sample, like, hey, with this, I'm really struggling with, does the dialogue sound natural? Do the characters sound, whatever. So they can ask me, and then also I'll tailor it to the month that they're in. So now my notes have gotten more specific. And my notes have actually gotten more, I feel, helpful and detailed versus me just sending them kind of like a general self-revision kind of a sheet
That's
that I
awesome.
would be typing every week. So yeah, lots of ways that my students have been teaching me. And so I'm really grateful. And there was one yesterday that I think was possibly the most poignant because the other ones were wonderful, but they were also of a more practical nature. This one
Mhm.
was more of a teaching nature because one of my students, again, you know who you are, we met for our session, we met for our one-on-one coaching session. And he was mentioning that, he would see my notes. And I'm always very, very careful to be very gentle with my notes and make them like, suggestions. This might be
Yeah.
worth considering. Here's what I would do if it were me. I'm very careful with that. But at the same time, the thing that I forget, and maybe you forget too, because we've been writing for a whole lot longer. We've been sharing our work a whole lot longer. So we're just kind of used to the fact that when you receive feedback, it's corrective feedback, and that doesn't mean that you're a lesser writer. It's just how, you make the thing better. But what I had forgotten was that for a new writer, it can be kind of hard, even if the critique is really nice. It can feel like, she just wrote 2 pages about how I should fix this one little segment. What if
Mhm.
I'm not good enough? What if I'm not good at this in general? And that's the problem with like my editor brain. It's like, unfortunately, a hazard of the job, occupational hazard, is that I am only giving constructive feedback, not
Mhm.
necessarily, I'm not praising it as much as maybe a new writer would find it helpful to do. So I was like, okay, thank you so much for bringing that up. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to highlight in a color on the documents all my favorite lines in their thing so that they know, so
Oh,
that
what a good idea. How
in
nice.
the mix with the the feedback that I'm giving them, they're also like, okay, I did some stuff too
Hmm.
that she really likes. Because again, I'm just so used to telling this to myself, I forgot I need to tell it to students, is that all writers, Stephen King, J.K. Rowling, the big ones, every single one of them, they
Hmm.
get so much red marker from their editors. It's just a part of being a writer. You see it yourself,
Yeah.
and then give it to other
But
people,
that's
and they're
but
like,
that's their yeah, they're at the SWAT team level of like
yeah,
Hell
and
Week, and
and
they're
the
ready
same thing
for
is
it and they
happening
want
to
that.
them.
So make
Exactly,
it bleed.
exactly. Exactly, exactly.
And at the beginning, we're
Yeah,
like, it's a paper cut. Could
I
you
know,
please
I
be
know.
nicer?
Exactly, exactly.
Yeah.
And I just need to, and I realized, okay, I need to maybe say at the beginning of every email, I just want to let you know that all these critiques that I'm giving is just because, that's the service you're wanting from me to help you improve it. At the
Mhm.
same time, please never, never forget about how excited I am about this story and how glad I am that you're writing it and how much potential I see in it.
Nice.
That's why I'm helping you with it,
Hmm.
because I see that there is a great story here.
Yeah.
Just needs some tender love and care, which all of
Hmm.
ours do. Every single one of
Yeah.
my
Yeah.
stories needs tender love and care. My book right now is with beta readers because it needs tender love and care. After
Hmm.
having been rewritten 3 times, it still needs tender love and care.
Yeah.
So yeah, this has been a great month, honestly, for me. I was glad that I was able to help my students and see their stories progress. They're doing awesome. But it was
Mhm.
great for me as the teacher to see how I can improve.
That's fantastic. I'm really happy that they shared that. Hey, Austin in the chat. Good to see you, friend. Community member there. So nice to spend a minute with you. Is he in the school? Actually, is Austin part of the school?
Yes, he is.
Okay. All right, cool. It takes I don't want to say maybe bravery for someone to share a piece of feedback like that, but props to whoever that was, because um uh, that's fantastic feedback. I want to ask, like, as you're looking at the month, what are some things that they are doing that is showing growth and progress? But first, before I forget, have you heard of the whole compliment sandwich idea?
Yes, I
Yeah.
have.
I think it's basically what you're doing, but I'll just shout it out anyway for our listeners who have never heard of it. It's the idea that if you want to provide negative feedback, or even not negative, even if it's constructive, like you just said, even if it's well-meaning, we hear constructive feedback as a personal attack. And so what you do is you put it between two slices of a really nice honey brioche bun, and then it goes down like a teaspoon of sugar, or at least it can. You have a better chance of it anyway. They might still hate your guts, but oh well. But you start with a compliment. And that's what I try to do when I read somebody's story. Like, first line is, I love this or this part. Like, your opening paragraphs were fire, or I love where the story went. And then here's two ideas that would help make the story stronger. And I need to see if it still keeps working, but it makes sense to me to try to create the feeling like I'm standing alongside you as an author, looking at your project. I'm not wagging my finger at you as a human, as a person.
Exactly.
We're here for a specific goal of making the story stronger. So start with a compliment, and then here's a bit of constructive feedback, and then close it out with here's another again. Keep going. It's like amazing. That compared to someone like Gordon Ramsay, right? I just watched his latest Being Gordon Ramsay series that landed on Netflix, and my wife and I watched that, and it's just amazing. He's starting the most ambitious task of his career, and it's the craziest thing to start a restaurant a mile high in the sky at the top of the biggest building in Britain, and not actually a mile, 800 feet or yards, whatever it is. And it's absolutely crushing in a brutal situation. And he does what Gordon Ramsay does. And he walks in, it's 4-letter words, every other word. And, and everybody, I don't know if they want it, but they are grateful to sort of get it, or at least they act like they do. Because at that point, this is the SWAT team of performance. And you
Hmm.
don't want the fluffy brioche bun ensuring that you feel okay to maintain this relationship. It's like, no, you're fighting to be at that table so he can yell at you to make you a better person. Sir, yes, sir. Very military sort of stuff. So it's a completely different level of the game versus when we're still trying to encourage like a little shoot
Yeah.
to keep growing, like, come on, come on, come on, keep growing, like get the little leaves out, so it's being kind. And so it's a pretty cardinal rule to our legend fiction community. We start with kindness. We've got to start with kindness because we're all still just beginning. Got to be careful when we're just beginning. So what are some things that you're seeing some of the students do, like this month maybe versus last month? Like, if people are just like sending in stuff and not making any progress at all, well, then it creates a question like, they're not learning the lessons or something, and just having fun watching YouTube videos and not actually internalizing the progress. So what's something that you're proud of as you're looking at these students that they're actually, well, it kind of proves the school works, basically?
For one, I'm seeing their character work improve greatly. They've taken the first chunk, the first month, and I'm hearing about their characters, which I don't, because there's small segments, I kind of have to see the characters in segments, so it can be a little bit harder for me to like gauge the overall, but I'm seeing definitely an improvement. I'm seeing the way that their characters behave more like they're more not diverse, multidimensional. They're behaving more multidimensional. There's a little bit more nuance. It's coming out in more subtle ways. It's not stated explicitly. It's coming out in their behavior and their actions. And I see them asking a lot of questions, which is really exciting. There was one student who has a very two-faced character, and the two-faced character obviously wants one thing, but he's expressing another thing. And he would express that other thing like very verbally, like, my goal is to do XYZ. And so one of my feedbacks for her, one of my pieces of feedback for her was, okay, I see what he's doing here. Let's see if we can make him announce it a little bit less kind of overtly, a little bit less explicitly. Because, we as people, a lot of times we betray our intentions by less saying it than just kind of than doing it, than like making sure that, not making sure, but our actions will just kind of lean toward that. And she asked me, she was like, okay, thanks for that piece of information, which shout out to all my students who are so kind to me too. Like, Jeepers Creepers, they are so nice and wonderful. So she was like, thank you for that. What if, and she's thinking about it, she was like, what if my character is specifically trying to mask his inner intentions? And then would he say something like that aloud? And I was like, excellent question. I still don't think that someone would say it that explicitly, because even when someone wants to they want to put on a facade for somebody else, a lot of times they don't express the facade in words precisely. They'll just show it in other ways, but the inside will slip out every now and then. The inner intentions will slip out now and then. So I'm seeing the thought that they're putting into this. And this past month, I've gotten a couple of character sheets with backstories and histories, and we've gotten some world building going on. And so now I have this really great understanding of the worlds that are happening. I've seen some progress on how the which is another thing that's kind of harder to see now, because I'm getting just the earliest snippets. But even at the beginning, I'm seeing the plot kind of take form. There's one student who he was very excited to kind of like rush straight into the inciting incident, which can be great. And I was like, okay, let's work with this. This is a great inciting incident. Let's see how we can bolster it and like build it up beforehand. And I've seen those scenes kind of come into play and be rewritten and developed more. And now the character feels more developed because we've gotten a minute to see them before the inciting incident. So I am seeing their progress, and it's very, very exciting because I am seeing these stories kind of take shape in front of me.
Amazing. And as part of it, right, when somebody starts the school, they have to identify with you, here's what I want to accomplish in my 12 months in this school, right?
Exactly.
And it's either selection of stories, or they're going to work on a novel. And then can you recap very briefly how that works and how you help coach them as well, so that for every individual student, you also have like a higher level view of where they're trying to go. And so you have a sense of the goal that they want to reach over that 12-month period, which I don't know of anything that does that online.
I don't either. And basically, I just send them a Google form. There's a Google form that says, what kind of project are you trying to do? Is it short stories? Is it a full novel? And then I give them the option for other. I ask the genre that it's in, the audience that it's in. There's more questions that I can't think of off the top of my head, but I send that to them and they send it back to me. So now I have a gist of where we're going. It's like, okay, I want to write a dystopian novel, and that's okay. Now I know that we shouldn't be doing fantasy. If I see fantasy elements sneak in, I'm going to give them a heads up, unless it's a dystopian fantasy. But if it's just like sci-fi dystopian, kind of normal world dystopian, then I know where we're going. And then in addition to that, I send them a reading list for because I send them another Google form with like, okay, what's your favorite kind of book? What kind of comp titles could this story have? What are books that you don't like as much? And I'll send them a reading list. And it's not a required reading list. It's just, hey, here's some books that I think really fit the vibe and the goal of your book. And it's always good to read more books like that. Oh, thanks. And so I really enjoy giving that to them, because I know that I enjoy when I'm writing a project, I'm reading books that kind of fit that atmosphere, so that I know where I'm going. I see how other people do it. And honestly, I'm kind of absorbing it by osmosis in a way, because it's like, I know how this works now. I see what this story did, and it becomes a pattern that becomes familiar to you. And between those two, between reading their Google Doc and then having selected all those books for them, I kind of internalize an idea of what they are going for, so that I can guide them toward that throughout. And then, of course, I ask them questions. No, I ask
Yeah.
them questions as we are actually writing it. There's one student who she's got this really exciting kind of dark fantasy type of a
Mhm.
thing going. And as is, we're practicing on her style because she's very, very witty. You know, she's got a lot of the sarcastic banter going on. And it's like, okay, let's work with that. And then so I ask her, do you want this to be more of a, you know, sarcastic, witty banter type of a book, or do you want the kind of darker melodic fairy tale type tone that you mention in the Google Doc? And then she'll let me know, okay, she tells me which one of them she wants, and I'm like, all right, let's go with that. Let's lean into that. Let's see how we can make the one support the other, kind of a thing. So
That's amazing. First of all, I had no idea you were doing that. That's such a lovely touch to give a list of recommended reading for
thanks.
novels in their area. Um, yeah, I love how hands-on you are with the students. So we're going to come up on. So this is we're talking about month 2. We're in the middle of month 3. We're
Yeah.
talking about month 2. So this next month is going to be about world building.
Mm-hmm.
Can you outline very briefly where do we go with world building?
We talk a lot about how to not info dump. And the way that you don't info dump is you have the character actually experience these things naturally as they are going through their own world,
Mhm.
as well as reminding students that world building isn't just kind of icing on the cake. It's not just cool factoids that you drop on top of the story. It can be. I mean, like I mentioned, I think in the recording, there are books like I'm thinking of Throne of Glass by Sarah J. Maas, or again, at least the first 2 books that I have read.
Mhm.
It's the world building is not super deep there. It's just kind of like, okay, I need somewhere for Selena to overthrow a kingdom. So they make a good kingdom and they make a bad kingdom and they make a fairy kingdom because she's part fairy, spoiler alert. But, or maybe she is completely fairy, I can't remember. But so it can work. You know, of course, there can be situations where you choose as the author. I don't really want to the story that I'm trying to tell is mostly just about a character doing things, doesn't really matter where it happens. But as I say in the story, it will never harm you. It will never harm your story to have a better understanding of
Mhm.
what makes this world unique, what makes this world different from yours,
Mhm.
and how to determine how that uniqueness, how that differentiation would make the happenings of daily life
Mhm.
different. We talk a
Mhm.
lot about geography, we talk about the belief system. There's so much that goes into it that either you can choose to write entire encyclopedias about and then pick and choose little bits that will appear in the story as the character is paying attention to them because of who they are and their own life, or you can just think about it a little bit. You can just be like, huh, all right, I wonder what would happen here. And then you have one new idea that comes, which is a little bit more what I do. I have some ideas of backstory when I start, but mostly as I'm going through and I'm thinking, okay, well, how would they handle this situation because of their unique situation? How would this look different? And then I
Mhm.
think of it while I'm there. And then there's another piece of world building that I've slipped in one sentence without info dumping, and then I
Mhm.
can move on.
Well, that's awesome. That's going to be fun. Yeah, you and I have just finished recording, I think, all of the lessons for that month. So that's been really fun
Yep.
to go through. So, friends, if you haven't yet, you can go to legendfiction.com and you'll see the option for the creative writing school. If it's not there in the menu, check the drop down, but it is right there. You can have a look and you can ask questions about it at any time. And then you can come and join us because you absolutely should come and join us. And Gabby as the teacher.